Hello. So, what I want to talk about today was, um, I feel like there's like 1,200 disclaimers before I really can start talking. Um, what I wanted to talk about was how to, well, thank you, Lily, how to um, find ways to socialize when you have avoidant personality disorder. Now, disclaimer number one is that you don't need to do that. You could very well have felt sort of external, maybe internal pressure to act normal or whatever. And then to have so many people in your life or whatever. Um, Not only is that totally unnecessary, um, it can be damaging. I mean, it can be really damaging. Um, so that before you even pay attention to what I'm going to say, I would do some soul searching to see if you really need people, and if you do, what kind of people that you need in your life. Because you don't have to have people, but the thing with avoidant personality disorder is that you want people in your life and you feel that you're unworthy of it and you can't trust people, but you kind of still want them. Um, and that's the thing. If that is what you want, is to get people, and it's gonna feel like it's the biggest challenge, and it's absolutely impossible, and there's no way you can't do it. You can't find people. You can't socialize. You can't. So, if that's what you want, not that you feel like you need it or that you should have it, but you really just, you're at the point in your life where you would like to have, some low pressure people, friends, or whatever in your life. Um, and you have this big, huge block, which is what avoidant personality disorder is, which is there to help you. Is It's a self-protective mode. Um, so it's a huge mountain to overcome. And it's really very difficult to just go straight at it and, okay, I'm going to stop all behaviors I've been doing for however number of years, decades. And I'm going to forget all about all of this self protection that I was forced to learn and now is keeping me intact and functioning in the world. Let's forget all that and go out and just socialize. Not going to happen. And here comes the next disclaimer, which is I'm expecting that when I describe this, your initial reaction is going to be, no way. No. Probably even looking at this topic is making that set of thoughts pop up into your head. Um, okay, nobody's forcing you to do it, and maybe there's another way. Um, this is true, but also this way will work. And it's still not easy, but it's a lot easier than just going out and being socialized. Being socialized? Socializing with people. Um, and what it is basically is going about it sideways, slantwise, from behind, but not dead on. And, okay, cut to the chase. Stop waffling. You've heard all the disclaimers. The way to meet people and to not have a massive, huge traumatic trigger of your avoidant personality disorder is to not try to meet people, but instead to do things that you like to do. I know, that's the dumbest, simplest, dumb thing ever. But don't just go out and do whatever. Do it in a context where there are other people doing the same thing. Like if you, okay, let's start with the most basic, obvious, and I don't know if people do this or not, but okay, let's say that you want to work out. Good on you. Then go to a gym instead of going about it at home. I know, really basic. And then when you get to the gym, don't try to socialize, but one way to know for sure that nobody wants to talk to you at the gym is to make sure that your earbuds are in. So if you don't have earbuds in, that is sort of like a, it's okay, I will accept people talking to me type message. Same with if you like to say go running or biking or something like that. Don't just go off in the woods and do it on your own, depending on where you live, if that's possible. Do it in a sort of area where people gather to do it. I sound like an idiot. Okay, let me give you a concrete example from my life. Way back when I was going to graduate school, started school in September, but I had a car that needed a whole heck of a lot of work. And I was moving to Philadelphia, which the only thing I knew about it was that you did not need a car in Philadelphia. You could get by using public transportation and walking. I'm like, am I going to waste all this money on fixing a car that then I can't even use in the city or what? So I decided to move 2 months early. I thought, okay, no big deal. I can go to the school, right? No, I had no access to the campus because I was not enrolled until September. I went to a city I had never been to. I went to my school sight unseen. I like, yeah, avoidant. Like the program, like what I was going to be studying. I didn't need anybody. I didn't need a campus. I didn't need anything. I was just doing it on my own. Who cares what it was like? I would get by. Anyway, had never been in living in a major giant city like that. I lived in small suburbia my entire life. Well, except when I was an exchange student in Soviet Union. But anyway, um, other than that, and even that was a very small city. It was a sister city to the area I lived in, so it wasn't like a big city. So going to Philadelphia, which is, I mean, it is a big city, with big city issues and big city problems and big city isolation, and no job, because when you go, I mean, they probably have changed everything around now, but when I was going, it was like your job is going to school. If you're in graduate school, I was required. That better not be my car. Anyway, I was required not to have a job, which I kept up for a while. I'm really sorry if you can hear that. And again, it better not be my car. So, sorry. I was in the city, in the heat. Oh, it stopped. Good. And didn't know anybody, had never been to the city, didn't know my area, didn't know that, sorry, didn't know any people, didn't know anything. And I'm not going to talk to my neighbors because then I have to interact with them. So what I did when I was absolutely losing my mind, because I mean, at the time, this was before people had really internet at home. This was before people had well, some people had internet at home, but very few, and it was only AOL. I didn't have a computer, my own computer. This was when you had, it was like $1.50 or something per minute to make a long distance phone call. Um, very prohibitive. I was by myself and no way to interact, and I didn't even know whether it was the library. I don't. Well, I had my school library card, but I didn't have a city library card the entire time I lived in Philadelphia for 10 years. Um, I was losing my mind, basically. In this absolute crazy hot apartment without air conditioning. Um, so what I did was I found a small museum that had gotten most of its archives from donations from people. That's how they did it back in the day. If you didn't have a humongous, massive grant, somebody bankrolling, they literally would take donations, and then you had what they did was they had volunteers that would get together once a week to go through these. In my case, what I was looking at was reams of documentation. So, like, sorry, um, like newspaper clippings and photographs and stories and books and you name it, all this stuff. And of course, I'm saying of course, but um, my degrees are in literature and writing. So I was like really into that type of stuff. So I would be going through and documenting what had been, it's just, we get boxes and bags of massive numbers of papers and things and just go through them and say, this is what this is, and document what it was, make sure there wasn't anything that was duplicated, and um, file it and record, so that we could, sort of like a hard catalog type thing, be able to look up anything that had been donated, um, and also get rid of the garbage, of which probably 2/3 of what, maybe 3/4 of what was donated was just literal trash junk. Was literally like the Sunday circulars type thing. It's like, we don't need this. This is not something of value. That was what we were doing. We were basically sorting this stuff that was valuable from the stuff that was garbage. And, sort of sitting and, I guess, chatting. I mean, not really, because we were concentrating on what we were reading through, but it was interacting with people, and it was, um, it was somebody that you could look forward to saying, oh, hi, it's you again, every week. And it was something to go and do. I know that sounds completely mad, but when you have nothing else in your life, you're literally looking at walls, and oh, God, it was rough for those first couple months, and I was trying to be as absolutely frugal as possible, and not spend any money on anything, because I didn't get my student loans yet, so I was living off credit cards for 2 months, and trying not to go completely broke and run out of money. So I wasn't living the high life, to say the least. I was the broke student, and they couldn't interact with anybody. Um, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. So going to this once a week volunteer opportunity, um, where I could basically listen to other people talking to each other, because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I did not end up interacting with anybody that I met there outside of that little group, although they did interact with each other. And again, it was temporary. It was only a couple, like 6 weeks or something. I kept going. I kept going for like a year, even after I'd gone back to school. It wasn't until I got a job. Oh, now Poppy's going after that thing. As much noise as we can possibly have in the background. Um, but yeah, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Where you need to get a hit off of people. And the other thing I've said before is that there are certain places where I would either walk around or drive around just to be around people. But this is a bit more than that. This is to actually have as superficial or as deep a relationship, and it's practice it. I mean, it sounds insane to say you have to practice interacting with people. Like, come on, really? Yes. When you have avoidant personality disorder, you have to practice that muscle. You have to practice trusting people. You have to practice tamping down the personal anxiety of being around people. And are they going to judge you? Maybe, maybe not. You've got to practice being able to tolerate that, and that is the first step. So that is, and again, I talked about volunteering. The same sort of thing. I mean, truthfully, I'll go to volunteer. Like, I used to volunteer with my son at the animal shelter, our local animal shelter, and I would sort of become visual acquaintances with people. I never interacted with people outside of that, but then I have the type of avoidant personality disorder where having anybody close to me is the massive trigger. I personally like strangers. So going to those things, being around people, and like developing some sort of relationship for me would have that would have been the end. I wouldn't have been able to go forward and go back to those places at all if I had any sort of relationship with them outside. Like, I mean, at work, I have currently, I think, 3 people's phone numbers, and I mean, they're supervisors, so that if something happened, I would be able to get in touch with them. Um, I don't text them. I don't call and be social. I don't interact with people outside of work. And I know they do. It's the same sort of thing, but that's just how I am. That's not what I am. They're the type of people who are like, I have this close knit group and I want to hang out with them and I want to be with them. That's great. That's not me. And I'm definitely the more go out in the world, interact, um, and then disappear and not interact with them again. I can have a kind of conversation. It kind of gets on my nerves. People are like, "Oh, we're buddies now. Let's exchange information." And I'm like, "Ooh, no, that's the worst thing you could ever imagine. Never, never, never. I would never do that." That's the way I am. But that's how it's done. If you are if you have a avoidant personality disorder, is it you have a like maybe you're into gaming or something like that. Then I mean, that's not that's a lot of people can do that online, um and develop great friendships with people online and never interact with them in like a real world in person scenario. So that wouldn't work as great. But like my son, who loves doing this type of stuff and wanted to interact with people, does take it to, he goes to like gaming clubs, he goes to conventions, stuff like that, and interacts with people. And then he sort of focuses on the game and not on the people. But then over time, will sort of get to know people that he's seeing regularly at these groups. um, that's how you do it. You don't focus on people, you focus on the activity and enjoying yourself doing the activity will lessen the stress of the anxiety of interacting with people. And then that will slowly um, help you to meet people. And again, once you've started doing this sort of thing, it becomes easier and easier. And eventually, you can meet a friend or something, somebody that's happy to see you and that you're happy to see them. That's how you meet people. That's probably the most annoying video of mine you've ever seen because it's so basic. And the way that I'm saying is like, oh, it's so easy. Having something so basic that it's so obvious and like, well, if I could do that, I would do that type of thing. I know this seems like what I'm saying is easy. It is not. And that is why you really have to basically change your focus completely. Your focus is not to meet people. Your focus is to do this thing that you enjoy where other people happen to be. Um, so I travel a lot and I meet a lot of people when I travel. Um, and that's okay. Like, yes, it sort of annoys me to sit on an airplane and have somebody have a conversation, but like I was just in Australia and coming back from Australia, I had like a 4 hour conversation with a guy sitting next to me. I didn't get his name. I didn't, you know, have anything other than the chat on the plane. Not interested in having that further interaction, and that's fine. But I mean, I can do that. I can do that because I'm never going to see that guy again, and he's never going to find me again. And before you think it's something more than it was. I mean, literally, we were both talking about what we were taking pictures of in Australia. He's a filmmaker or something that was doing something for National Geographic and was extremely focused on trying to get home because he spent months in the outback taking pictures of something or other, birds or something. See, I didn't even pay attention to what it was. We were just talking about what it was like as an American being in Australia, especially this time with the politics of the universe. Anyway, that's how you do it. You don't focus on finding a person to talk to because that will stress you out. You focus on doing an activity and then either talking about that activity with somebody else who also enjoys it or actually doing the activity with somebody else who enjoys it. And then the people part sort of comes later, basically when you're not noticing it. That's how you meet people. And it's not something that you can just snap your fingers and just go, I'm going to go talk to this person. I mean, if you can do that, go for it. That's great for you. This is a long, slow process. And again, if you have in the front of your head, first and foremost, I'm going to meet people, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because you're going to be awkward and it's going to put people off. But if you're focusing on the activity of what you're doing and what you like, then your anxiety will lessen because you'll have a different focus other than interacting with people and this is unsafe. People get to know you as a person yourself, and that's when you start actually interacting with people. When, paradoxically, you're not trying to interact with people. And again, the longer you're with them and the more safe it is. I mean, because it can be like horrifying to like go order a coffee or something and have to talk to a cashier you've never talked to before. Um, yeah, that can like cause the most anxiety and I'm going to be judged and everything else. Um, that can be just straight up wicked. But, you know, that's not what you're doing. That's not what you're doing. You're engaging in whatever it is that you like to engage in a place where there are other people who also enjoy that. And then it's just going to slowly bleed over time, over months, maybe. But you know what? You won't be upset that it's taking months because you're doing this thing that you would want to do anyway. Anyway, I think I'm repeating myself as usual. Um, but that's my recommendation. That's how you meet people is by not trying to meet people, but instead doing something that you like, where other people who like the same thing that you like will be also doing what that activity that they like. Anyway, bye.